It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, April 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. The high's only going to be 53. Tonight and overnight, mostly clear, low 36. And then Tuesday, sunshine, high 51. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 37 and clear in Sayville out on Long Island. 34 and clear in Lebanon over in New Jersey. And it's 38 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
A Louisiana dad opens fire on his own family. Iran peace talks are off for now. A Cuomo accuser could soon be a city councilwoman. Some Bronx students detailing an intense bus crash upstate. And a famed pitcher getting another close-up, this time on Long Island. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. This was one of the more gruesome stories from over the weekend. Just a lot of shootings and blood. This one out of Louisiana, a man killed 8 kids, 7 of whom were his own children. This was early Sunday mass shooting in Shreveport. The ages of the children killed range in age from 1 to 14 years old. Police identified the suspected shooter as Shamar Elkins. He was shot dead by police as he tried to escape the scene.
I can tell you that 7 of the 8 children that were killed are believed to be his children. We are still working to determine a complete motive and understanding as to why this happened, but it is domestic in nature.
Yeah, so authorities described the shooting as domestic violence. Police shared that 7 of the 8 children who were killed were Shamar's and the suspect's wife, and a woman to believe his girlfriend was also shot and seriously injured. The 8th child was a member of family friend's child.
Can confirm the suspect in these 8 homicides is Shamar Elkins. He is believed to be the man responsible for this heinous act.
Yeah, so one neighbor describing hearing the news.
To wake up and to hear this kind of news that someone would shoot 8 children, 8 innocent children, it's just unreal.
It really is. And police, of course, don't have a motive, but of course, when these motives come out, they make zero sense anyway. 5:02, students from a high school in the Bronx injured yesterday after their bus crashed during a trip to Lake George. 17 students, 6 chaperones from a number of different high schools up in the Bronx were aboard this bus that apparently veered off the road, slammed into a boat, slammed into like some sort of mini house and a vehicle before coming to a final rest. Now, this woman, she lives in this neighborhood in Warren County where this crash took place.
The house shook I can't find the word to explain how loud it really was.
And it's not really clear what happened. There was no other vehicle involved in this incident, just the bus itself that hit the boat, a vehicle. There was a tree that somehow got in the way of this as well that ended up through the front of a pickup truck. It was just an awful scene. But the good news is nobody was seriously hurt. When you see how bad this crash was, you realize how lucky that was.
Just to hear the kids screaming within the tour bus was very jarring.
Yeah, this neighbor, boy, she was great. She rushed out to see if she could help these kids and these parents aboard this bus. And she said the cell phone service in Warren County where they live has never been good. And so the kids were trying to call their parents to tell them what happened. And she realized they could not get through just because she says that's the way it is up there. So then she offered comfort to these kids who were, some of them, as you might guess, hysterical.
The thing that upset me the most was just, in Diamond Point, we don't have good service here. And so these kids were trying to call their mom and dads. And so I was like, well, I can give you a hug. So I did that, and so I was like, I gave a couple hugs out.
Yeah, so the crash remains under investigation. Again, the good news is nobody seriously hurt. 5:04, NYPD says it broke up a car meetup event in Maspeth, Queens over the weekend where drivers were heard playing loud music middle of the night.
Police say residents called the cops to complain about the noise, which lasted until around 2 a.m. when officers arrived. At these meetups, drivers gathered to blast music during the late night hours. ABC 7 reports at this particular one, 3 people jumped onto the hood of a police car and cracked the windshield. Queens Councilman Phil Wong called the gathering disgusting. He added he'll meet with Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch and will ask her what steps should be taken so that it doesn't happen again. In New York, I'm Lisa Salvati.
Cops in Paterson, New Jersey, they have spent the weekend searching for a gunman who shot 1 man dead, injured 3 others on Saturday night.
Police say it happened near East 29th Street and 10th Avenue. This man was working nearby and heard it all.
A lot of gunshots, a lot of shots. People, he shot the guy. He shot the guy. People was screaming. People was crying.
Paterson City Council member Luis Velez says the area is a known hotspot.
Warm weather is coming out. People probably have beef. They bring it to the street, and innocent people probably get involved.
Most of the victims are believed to be in their 20s, though a 13-year-old was among the injured. In New Jersey, I'm Larry Kofsky.
And coming up after 5:30, we'll hear from a group of 13-year-olds who were on the scene when the shooting was taking place. They were there for a birthday party. That coming up after 5:30. Mayor Mamdani, he took to the news shows over the weekend, NBC's Meet the Press, to talk about his relationship with President Trump. He says it's honest, direct, and productive. This was after the president went on the attack against Mamdani on social media Friday.
What I will say is that those conversations, no matter how they happen, they return back to one thing, one of the few things that we have in common, which is our love for New York City.
Yeah, so the president was going after Mayor Mamdani for that proposed tax on second homes. The president taking to Truth Social, saying that New York City has no chance and that the U.S. should not contribute to its failure. But Mayor Mamdani said that the relationship between him and the president's just fine. They just don't see eye to eye on everything.
I would say that it's honest, it's direct, and it's productive.
Yeah, and we're going to hear more from the president coming after 5:30 about his relationship with the mayor. WABC News Time, 5:08. Iran's foreign minister says the government has no plans regarding a new round of talks after the U.S. seized an Iranian flag cargo in the Strait of Hormuz. The attack comes hours after President Trump announced that he is sending his team to Islamabad for possible talks with Iran. Pakistan tightened security in Islamabad before these possible talks, which now look like they may not happen. In Lebanon, the 10-day ceasefire with Israel still holding, with thousands of people continuing to return to check on their destroyed homes in the south. So the U.S. seized this Iranian flag cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz after firing on its engine room over the weekend. President Trump discussing the details in a social media post. He says the Navy-guided missile destroyer intercepted this ship in the Gulf of Oman. He says that the U.S. gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so he says the Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. He says the Marines now have custody of that vessel and that it's under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of some illegal activity. So they're going to hold on to this ship. So now Iran has accused the U.S. of violating the ceasefire by keeping a blockade on Iranian ports in place and by taking over that ship. The president was talking about this a little bit over the weekend, the peace talks, what was going on in Iran.
We have very good conversations going on. It's working out very well. They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years.
Now, he made those comments before Iran said that they had called off the peace talks. That happened late last night into early this morning.
They wanted to close up the strait again, as they've been doing for years, and they can't blackmail us.
Yeah, so Iran rejecting these new peace talks this morning.
According to Reuters, Iran's state news agency cited Washington's excessive demands and the ongoing naval blockade as the key reasons for not taking part in the second round of talks. On Sunday, Trump posted on Truth Social that his envoys would arrive in Pakistan on Monday for negotiations just before a 2-week ceasefire is set to expire. The president also warned that the U.S. would knock out all power plants and bridges in Iran if they don't accept a deal to end the war. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Yeah, and the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, was talking a little bit more about that, defending President Trump's threat to take out Iran's power infrastructures and bridges if a deal isn't made soon. He was on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday.
Bridges, power plants that are run by the IRGC, which runs the entire military, are absolute legitimate military targets, not only now, but have been historically.
A woman arrested over the weekend in Los Angeles for allegedly selling weapons on behalf of Iran.
She was helping Iran sell drones, bombs, and millions of rounds of ammo to Sudan. That's the allegation from United States Attorney Bill Asaeli, who announced the arrest of 44-year-old Shamim Mafi on Sunday. Mafi, from Woodland Hills, is an Iranian national who became a permanent U.S. resident in 2016. She's due in court in Los Angeles Monday afternoon. If convicted, she faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison. I'm Jason Nathanson.
And Pope Leo was overseas for a trip to Africa, but all anybody wanted to talk about during this trip was this feud he's having with President Trump over the war with Iran.
The Pope says he's not interested in debating Trump and is focusing on his trip to Africa. Leo says his visit is centered on peace building, dialogue, and supporting the growing Catholic community. The pontiff adds that recent coverage has been shaped by political commentary following Trump's public criticism. He says his recent remarks about global conflict were prepared before any of the comments Trump made about him. I'm Rob Martier.
And the talk continues about gas prices and what it's doing to just everyday items. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says gas prices have peaked as the war with Iran continues. He says that the resolution of the conflict will allow prices across the board to dip at some point, but he could not predict when. He was on the news shows over the weekend.
He'll start going down. Certainly with a resolution of this conflict, you'll see prices go down. Prices across the board on energy prices will go down.
No, but the only thing is that he says that may not happen till later this year.
I don't know. That could happen later this year. That might not happen till next year. But prices have likely peaked.
It comes as the current nationwide average for a gallon of regular today's $4.04. That according to AAA. 5:13. Over the weekend, the president signing an executive order on medical research at the White House.
Today, I'm pleased to announce historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs.
Yes, so this order directs federal agencies now to expedite the review of new drugs, eases restrictions on psychedelics used to treat PTSD for veterans and others. Lots of information that suggests these psychedelics are a huge help to veterans.
These experimental treatments have shown life-changing potential for those suffering from severe mental illness and depression, including our cherished veterans. Our veterans are having a tremendous hard time. You know, the suicide rate, we have it down a little bit, but they are having a hard time. This order will clear away unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles, improve data sharing among the FDA and the Department of Veterans Affairs, and facilitate fast rescheduling of any psychedelic drugs that become FDA approved.
And that becomes immediate. Now, the president may want to take one of these psychedelics when he sees this new poll that shows his approval rating has hit a new low.
According to the NBC News Decision Desk poll, 37% of adults approve of Trump's performance as president, while 63% disapprove. 2/3 of those surveyed also disapproved of Trump's handling of inflation and the war with Iran. Pollsters note Americans' views of the president's job performance has hit the lowest point of his second term in office. I'm Lisa Carton.
WABC News Time 5:14. FBI Director Kash Patel says he's going to sue the magazine The Atlantic after an article reported colleagues are concerned about his erratic behavior and excessive drinking. Patel says that he needs to fight back about what he calls the fake news.
We are not going to take this laying down. You want to attack my character? Come at me. Bring it on. I'll see you in court.
The report says the current and former FBI officials and members of Congress describe Patel as a erratic, suspicious of others, and prone to jumping to conclusions before he has evidence. They go on to say his behavior is a national security vulnerability.
We have to fight back against the fake news. It's one of the many things that President Trump is so successful at in leading out on, because no one is attacked as baselessly as he is and as much as he is.
But the Atlantic cites sources as saying as Patel is known to drink to the point of obvious intoxication, then a security decal has had difficulty waking him because he was seemingly intoxicated. In a moment, we'll head out to California. Of course, Eric Swalwell forced out of the race for governor last week. We'll tell you what the new polls are showing that are out. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start here on the diamond. Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer in the first inning. Ben Rice went deep for the fourth straight game in the second, and the Yankees beat the reeling Kansas City Royals 7-0 to complete a 3-game sweep following a long rain delay. Ryan Weathers bounced back from allowing 4 homers to the LA Angels on Tuesday and permitted 5 hits and 7 1/3 innings for his first win with the Yankees. The left-hander struck out 8 and walked 1. Trent Grisham added a 3-run homer in the 5th for the Yanks, who went deep 9 times in the series and won the final 2 games by a combined 20-4 margin after their previous 5 victories were decided in the final at-bat. Up next for the Yankees, Luis Gil opens a 3-game series at rival Boston starting tomorrow night. In Chicago, the Mets lost their 11th consecutive game in the form of a 2-1 loss to the Cubs, also good for their 3rd straight series sweep. MJ Melendez homered for New York, which finished with 6 hits. David Peterson pitched 3 2/3 scoreless innings of bulk relief after manager Carlos Mendoza decided to go with Tobias Myers as an opener. It's the longest losing streak for the Mets since they also dropped 11 in a row from August 28th to September 8th in 2004. They've been outscored 62-19 during this slide, and they are averaging just 2.9 runs over 17 games in April. Up next for the Mets, after an off day today, the righty Nolan McLean will start tomorrow night against Minnesota in the opener of a 9-game homestand. Looking ahead to hardwood action tonight, 8 p.m. The Knicks, they're back out there at MSG. Game 2 of their first-round playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously winning Game 1, a big win over the weekend. New York leading that series 1-0. Also tonight, you see the Raptors and the Cavaliers out in Cleveland. That's Game 2 there. Cleveland leading that series currently 1-0. And also tonight, the Timberwolves and the Nuggets will get going out in Denver at 10:30. Game 2 there after Denver wins Game 1 to take a 1-0 series lead in that one. And offseason NFL news as the draft approaches later on this week. Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence passed his physical with the Cincinnati Bengals and has signed a 1-year, $28 million extension after the Bengals acquired Lawrence from the New York Giants on Saturday for the number 10 pick in this week's draft. The defensive tackle is now under contract with Cincinnati for the next 3 seasons. The Giants traded Lawrence after they had reached an impasse in negotiations on a new deal. He requested a trade after 7 years with New York. The Giants now own the rights to the number 5 and number 10 picks in the first round coming up this Thursday night in Pittsburgh. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. Former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa is one of the several Democrats running to be California's next governor. He says since California Congressman Eric Swalwell dropped out, it's a different race.
I'm a father of 3 daughters. I have 1 granddaughter. My heart and my sympathies are with the women who have come forward. But it's opened up the race, period. It's opened it up wide open.
Villaraigosa says, who's, by the way, a former Assembly Speaker, currently polling in the low single digits, like 4%, means he won't be able to take part in a debate that's happening this week. He says he's running for office to solve California's big problems.
I want to roll up my sleeves and take on these issues. And because these issues require urgency, I've said, look, I'm not looking to run for re-election. I'm running for 4 years. That's my pledge.
All right, we were looking at an Emerson College poll that has come out since Eric Swalwell was forced out of the race. And Republican and former Fox News contributor Steve Hilton, still at the top, ranks the highest 17% in this crowded field. His support has narrowed, though. You have Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. He's also a Republican. He follows Hilton with 14%. He's tied now with the first Democrat that's on this list, billionaire Tom Steyer. here. So the primary is June 2nd. The way it works in California, if you're not familiar, is pick the two top candidates from the primary, and whether they're both Republicans, both Democrat, one Republican, one Democrat, those are the people that face off come November. So right now, if the race were to happen today, it'd be Republican against Republican. Now, the last time California had a Republican governor, you have to go all the way back to 2011, and that was, of course, Arnold. Arnold was governor. WABC News Time, 522. President Trump over the weekend was teasing the release of the first parts of a study about UFOs by the Pentagon. Well, it'll be interesting to see if there's anything really in this, but he was teasing it all weekend, and all the people who love talking about UFOs, they were talking about.
This process is well underway, and we found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon. So you can go out and see if that phenomena is correct. You'll figure it out. Let me know. Let me know.
He doesn't seem like he really buys into it. Apparently, there's all these videos that will be released as well. 522. Spirit Airlines may be forced to shut down for good as early as this week. Correspondent Christine Roman says things are just bad for the airline.
The budget airline is in bankruptcy for the second time in a year and a half. And now, skyrocketing jet fuel prices pose a new challenge. Today, oil prices are 41% higher than they were when the war in Iran began, and jet fuel prices have nearly doubled.
Yeah, so of course for airlines, fuel is typically the second biggest cost after labor. Lenders are reportedly now pulling support, and Spirit Air is already cutting dozens of routes, furloughing hundreds of crew members.
Delta, United, JetBlue, and Southwest have already raised their fees for checked baggage. United and Delta also cut some flights from their schedule. And airfares are already rising into the busy summer travel season. Travel experts say without Spirit, they could go even higher.
Yeah.
Even if you've never flown on Spirit, you want them in the market to help put pressure on those other larger carriers. It actually helps keep prices cheap.
Yes, so Spirit says it's still flying for now. That's what they're telling us this morning. But experts are warning about sudden cancellations for sure. If you are planning on flying on Spirit this week, you'll want to make sure that the flight's actually going to take off. 524. There's new research that shows sparkling water may help with weight loss.
Findings in the BMJ Nutrition Prevention and Health show it increases metabolism a bit and impacts how the body processes blood sugar. Researchers emphasize the impact is very small, though it can create a feeling of being full, but should not be a replacement for diet and exercise. Experts warn carbonated water can impact the digestive system, especially in people with sensitive stomachs or with gastrointestinal problems. I'm Jim Forbes.
April apparently is Alcohol Awareness Month. One health expert is highlighting the fact that mocktails could be a good replacement for those looking to cut back on alcohol consumption.
Registered dietitian Kristen Kirkpatrick says a mocktail is a non-alcoholic version of cocktails that have a similar flavor and consistency, but is a healthier option. However, she says it is important to pay attention to the ingredients, as mocktails can still include additives like caffeine, sugar, and artificial sweeteners. She says if it has syrup, it could be replaced with actual fresh juice. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't work as well, though. San Diego Padres selling for a record $3.9 billion over the weekend. Jose Feliciano, the billionaire owner of Chelsea in the English Premier League, is buying the ball club. Kevin Assi with the Union Tribune says that the price is well above the previous record for a Major League Baseball franchise that was set by the Mets. Remember, they went for $2.4 billion. That was back in 2020. The Padres going for 3.9 this week.
I don't know how you could not be surprised, impressed, blown away, whatever, by $3.9 billion for a baseball team, but for the Padres. And if you've been following them for a long time, especially, I think we could talk forever about what this means for where the Padres have come and how far they have come.
Now the sale still needs approval from Major League Baseball owners, but there's no thought that they will disagree with this.
Centralized TV, and that there's going to be new streaming deals and national deals after the 28th season, that every team will realize hundreds of millions of dollars. The playing field to be leveled between salary cap or whatever it is, and then the fact that they would centralize TV, and they must believe that that's going to be the end result and that it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's still crazy amount of money, $3.9 billion. The guest stars they were out in full force at Coachella over the weekend as the festival wrapped up.
After Sabrina Carpenter surprised the crowd with Madonna Friday night, Justin Bieber got a little help headlining Saturday. He brought out SZA to sing with him weekend 2 and also called up Bieber superfan Billie Eilish. Though he just serenaded her with his song One Less Lonely Girl while she cried and fangirled, she didn't sing. Elsewhere in the desert, during Addison Rae's set Saturday, she welcomed Olivia Rodrigo, Somber bopped with Billy Idol, and Giveon featured a surprise Snoop Dogg. I'm Jason Nathanson.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, April 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. The high 53. Tonight and overnight, mostly clear, low 36, and then Tuesday sunshine, but the high's only going to be 51. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 37 clear in Sayville out on Long Island. This is crazy for April. We're doing 34 degrees. It is 34 and clear in Lebanon over in New Jersey, and it's 38 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. Mayor Mamdani continues to throw his political weight around. This time, he is jumping into a local city council race. He has endorsed Lindsey Boylan, does that name ring a bell, in a competitive election for District 3. That covers Chelsea, Hudson Yards, and parts of Hell's Kitchen. Boylan is known for being ex-Governor Cuomo's first accuser in his sexual harassment scandal. Well, now she's running for city council, and Mayor Mamdani has given her his nod.
It's kind of hard to believe when you've seen someone do such incredible things for the city that they're coming and supporting you. And so I'm really honored that we're now at a moment where he wants to accomplish a lot, and he knows that city council is key to that. And he does know that I'm a fighter and that I believe in all the things that he's trying to do for the city.
Now, Boylan, you may remember, she was the first woman to publicly accuse former Governor Cuomo of sexual harassment. Cuomo has repeatedly denied the allegations. Mamdani last year, of course, beat Cuomo twice in the race for mayor in a heated campaign. In a statement, Mamdani said that Lindsey Boylan represents the kind of fearless leadership that he wants in the city council. And, of course, she was all over this.
I do think that my joining city council as the 25th member of the Progressive Caucus will be incredibly helpful to moving a lot of the things we all believe in forward.
He needs somebody on his side when it comes to some of the platform he's trying to get through in the city council. And then in a Truth Social post at the end of last week, it was President Trump who said that Mayor Mamdani is destroying in New York, and that his tax policies are so wrong. So the mayor pushing back, saying, you know what, he's not always going to see eye to eye with the president, but he doesn't have any problem with the mayor attacking him.
And the fact that the president and I have many deep policy differences, and I am not shy about airing them both publicly and privately. I'll be honest with you, it's not a surprise given the fact that the president and I have many deep policy differences, and I am not shy about airing them both publicly and privately. These differences of opinion, they will continue. They are sincere, and also the thing that we have in common is that we are both New Yorkers. And so when I speak to the president, I always bring it back to the city and what I think will help the city.
Yeah, and then the mayor getting, I guess, essentially kind of an endorsement. Him and the president, former President Obama, met face-to-face over the weekend for the first time since the mayor was elected mayor.
Their appearance, which was not announced in advance, took place at a daycare center in the South Bronx. The mayor's office says the two men discussed Mamdani's vision for the city. The former president did not endorse Mamdani in November, though they had spoken by phone several days before the election, and Obama offered to be a sounding board for him if he became mayor. Obama called Mamdani's campaign for City Hall impressive. I'm Larry Kofsky.
WABC News Time 543. up in the Bronx, police looking for two men who are robbing teenage girls of their necklaces. We've seen this before, where they ride around on mopeds and they follow somebody who has a chain around their neck and then snatch it and then drive away, sometimes dragging the woman in the process. That's happened here. So two men approached a 15-year-old girl from behind on a moped, tried to snatch her necklace. Then there was a 13-year-old girl who was also had her necklace taken from her. She said that necklace worth about $600. And again, we've seen these happen before, and they usually catch up with these people eventually. But they're still looking for these two guys riding around mopeds, snatching necklaces. So people up in the Bronx were.
It's terrible because that could be my child. So they need to be found.
It's very common in this area for anybody to just get robbed or, get into those type of incidents.
Now, the latest incident police are telling us about was on the Grand Concourse, middle of the day. The two men approached 13-year-old girl from behind on a moped, snatched her necklace. That necklace worth about $2,000. The 13-year-old suffered minor injuries to her neck. She refused medical attention.
My baby's 17, so for a 15 or 13, it hits hard because I'm a parent.
It's scary to hear that these things are happening in the community, and I think it's just something that we should be more alerted on.
There's great video of these two, but so far they've been unable to find them. In a moment, we'll go to this continuing story of New Jersey Transit and why and how it wants to charge World Cup fans to go from Penn Station to the Meadowlands. The story does not go away. There's more to it. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Start here on the Diamond out in the Bronx. Aaron Judge hit a two-run homer in the first inning. Ben Rice went deep for the fourth straight game in the second, and the Yankees beat the reeling Kansas City Royals 7-0 to complete a three-game sweep following a long rain delay. Ryan Weathers bounced back from allowing 4 homers to the LA Angels last Tuesday and permitted 5 hits in 7 1/3 innings for his first win with the Yankees. The left-hander struck out 8 and walked 1. Trent Grisham added a 3-run homer in the fifth for the Yanks, who went deep 9 times in the series and won the final 2 games by a combined 20-4 margin after their previous 5 victories were decided in the final at-bat. Up next for the Yanks, Luis Gil opens a 3-game series at rival Boston starting tomorrow night. In Chicago, the Mets lost their 11th consecutive game in the form of a 2-1 loss to the Cubs, also good for their 3rd straight series sweep. MJ Melendez homered for New York, which finished with 6 hits. David Peterson pitched 3 2/3 scoreless innings of bulk relief after manager Carlos Mendoza decided to go with Tobias Myers as an opener. It's the longest losing streak for the Mets since they also dropped 11 in a row from August 28th to September 8th in 2004. They've been outscored 62-19 during the slide, and they are averaging just 2.9 runs over 17 games in April.
Does Mendoza keep his job?
I mean,
like, how many losses in a row do they have to have before they get rid of him?
That's a really good question.
It's 11 now, right?
11 straight. So, like I said, longest since 2004. So the time in between these two slides tells you how rare it is for a team, especially a team of this. With this payroll, with this sort of caliber, I mean, you didn't have the highest of expectations coming into the season. But come on, you lose Juan Soto and then you fall off the face of the earth. I mean, it's not adding up. And that's why, we're talking about this Mamdani curse, Noah Maladen.
Yes, ever since he hugged Mr. and Mrs. Met, they have not won a game.
Of course. It's just been absolute despair and disaster for the Mets. And they're not scoring runs. They're not pitching well. They're not doing anything well. They're just not playing good baseball. And, I would say, listen, you lose 20 straight, you got to really sit down and have a very serious
So they have to lose 9 more games for you to get rid of Mendoza.
Yeah, but it's that never happens, and it's still early in the season. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to think that those conversations are going on in that front office. No, already,
I would think so.
I would think so. So we'll see. But up next for them, they get an off day today. They'll mull.
Is Earl Weaver still alive?
That's a good question.
Probably not. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But you get an off day today. You mull over these 11 losses and try and come back tomorrow. They
How about Dallas Screen? Is he still alive?
No, I don't think so. But they're starting a 9-game homestand now, so they come home. and maybe, they get off the schneid. But that's certainly not what we're rooting for here on Sid and Friends in the morning, coming up at 6 a.m.
The more losses, the better.
Exactly. Noel McLean will start that homestand coming up tomorrow night. Minnesota, they're welcome in to start. The Knicks, they're back on the hardwood tonight for Game 2 of their first-round playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. They lead that series 1-0. That's an 8 p.m. start tonight from the Garden. And news out of Giants camp. Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence passed his physical with the Cincinnati Bengals, has signed a one-year, $28 million extension after the Bengals acquired Lawrence from the Giants on Saturday for the number 10 pick in this week's draft. The defensive tackle now under contract with Cincinnati for the next 3 seasons. Giants traded Lawrence after they had reached an impasse in negotiations on a new deal. He requested a trade after 7 years with New York. Giants now own the rights to the number 5 and number 10 picks in the first round coming up Thursday night in Pittsburgh. That is your Sports Know. Man, I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:51. What is with this back and forth about how much World Cup fans will pay to go to the Meadowlands to see a game come the summer, come June? So initially we were told that New Jersey Transit was going to charge $100 for a round-trip ticket from Penn Station to the Meadowlands, a ticket that normally on game day, if it's the Giants or the Jets, costs $12.90. So that's a little bit higher than that. And then we find out that no, they're not going to charge $100. They're going to charge $150. So New Jersey Transit President Chris Calori was trying to explain why they needed to charge so much.
She ran and she's governing on a framework where it is about making sure we don't unnecessarily hoist on our regular commuters expenditures they are not going to benefit from or agree to.
The she's talking about, or he's talking about, is Governor Mikey Sherrill, who says the deal that Governor Murphy made with FIFA is not a deal she wants to honor. She said that New Jersey Transit should not be saddled with paying the most of all the money, or a fair amount of this money, to shuttle these soccer fans to and from the stadium. So to recoup that money, it'll be $150 a ticket.
This slice of the transportation plan that costs $48 million has to be paid by the fans who are using it, because the governor does not believe that the commuter should subsidize it.
Now, Sid from Sid and Friends in the Morning, he had the head of the American World Cup, I forget his exact title, but Andrew Giuliani, who's in charge of the World Cup for America, on with him on Thursday, and he said that the states that are hosting the games were given, they were allotted millions of dollars, and he wanted to know what New Jersey did with that money. And then yesterday you had Senator Chuck Schumer turning up the heat on FIFA, saying he wants the organization to cover the cost of getting fans to the World Cup at MetLife Stadium. But again, this deal was made already. FIFA says, no, we're not going to pay that. We made a deal with you. You honor the deal that we already made. So it looks like this will happen, that fans will be charged $150 to go back and forth from Penn Station to MetLife Stadium, a ticket that normally costs $12.90. 5:53. Back here in the city, we have advocates calling on New York City to pass stricter regulations on electric bikes and e-scooters. The group says Priscilla's law would require e-vehicle operators to have a license and registration along with plates. Some New Yorkers say this is a good idea.
How are they going to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd never thought about it like that. I suppose there should be some kind of, test you got to take.
I've been nearly ran over almost 2 or 3 times with people, plus the delivery guys as well.
Yeah, so the law is named after Priscilla Loke, who was a teacher who was fatally struck while crossing a street in Chinatown by one of these e-bikes.
For me, I hope they just follow the rules with or without the registration or license, Just like cars. We get ticket, hopefully they get ticket too.
To be honest with you, I don't know what they're thinking.
It's all about politics. Unfortunately, we just go with the flow.
Yeah, so the push comes about a month after Mayor Mamdani got rid of criminal summonses for e-bike drivers caught violating traffic laws. One person is dead, 3 others injured after a shooting Saturday night in Paterson, New Jersey. They still have not found the gunman. Police say this happened East 29th and 10th Avenue. Now, kids were attending a 13-year-old's birthday party nearby when they heard multiple gunshots, people screaming, some crying.
First, we thought it was fireworks, but then we heard sirens and everything, and then everybody started going home because they were scared.
Yeah, so the victims were in their 20s. In fact, the individual killed was 20, but a 13-year-old was also injured. All were treated at a nearby hospital. The mayor there, Mayor of Patterson, Andre Sea, said he's had enough of the violence there.
One shooting is one too many. Just asking Patterson to join me in prayer for the victims and the families of this senseless gun violence.
So what's unclear is why the shooting happened, who was behind it, and the motive for it all. If a casino is ever approved to open in the Meadowlands, it will not be a Hard Rock casino.
The Press of Atlantic City is reporting Hard Rock International sold its 50% stake to Meadowlands racetrack owner Jeff Garral 2 weeks ago. Hard Rock and Garral first teamed up in 2015 to propose a gaming resort next to the racetrack across from MetLife Stadium and the American Dream Mega Mall. Hard Rock has since, though, opened a casino in Atlantic City in 2018 and now building a gaming hall complex next to Citi Field in Queens. New Jersey lawmakers there again considering a proposal asked voters to approve of casinos outside of Atlantic City, which voters rejected by an 80 to 20% margin in 2016. I'm Levon Putney.
And we'll end with this story. Over the weekend, it was Record Store Day on Saturday, which is a chance to go and get good deals on vinyl for people who still love vinyl.
Yeah, a lot of people come out, so it's cool to see that people are going back to the vinyls and listening to music the way it should be. Everybody's like, I could get it cheaper, but the record stores have to stay. So people got to support. People got to come out. I'll pay a couple extra bucks to support.
Yeah, customers were filling the aisles at Factory Records in Dover in New Jersey, at Almost Ready Records in Montclair, at the Princeton Record Exchange. That's probably the most famous record store out there. And records, I know every year we say this, but they really have had a revival. And so this was huge over the weekend. In fact, there were a number of artists that had exclusive releases for Record Day, including Bruce Springsteen.
I'm just so happy to see that wherever I am, whether it be the U.S. or whether it be France or Germany or wherever, it's just the same community. I love to meet new people. I love to showcase small businesses. And I love to also new discoveries. I always come from one thing and always come out with significantly more than I was originally planned, and that's okay.
Yeah, so this is also a good chance for you to tell you about how records have become a big deal at bars across the city. This is across the country and around the world. Listening bars are the hottest things right now, where people bring in vinyl albums and music is the star. So talk is encouraged, but quiet talk. There's a number of these listening bars in Brooklyn and here in the city. I wrote a full-on piece about this. You go over to WABCRadio.com. You could be the cool guy in the room when you talk about the fact that listening bars are the hippest new thing. Check that out at WABCRadio.com.